Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday Night Live. It's Tuesday night, the 18th of October, and I'm here just a couple minutes late with you tonight. My name is Betty Sakosha. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and the team leader for the Power of Positive Inking team. And I have got some new goodies to show you tonight. So Stampin' Up! Has come up with a, often they do this about this time of year where they come up with something fantastic that's going to be in the next catalog. So their next mini catalog will start on January 5th. But sometimes we get a preview item. And not only do we have a preview item, but we have a preview item that has some limited items with it. So I wanted to make sure that you're all aware of it. If you are a current demonstrator, you are able to order these things right now. And if you are a customer, you will be able to order these things starting on November 1st. But I wanted to give you a heads up because there's also another special going on that I'm going to tell you about at the end. But I don't want you to miss out on it because some of these things are limited time only. So hello, Maureen. Hello, Susan. I'm going to flip you down, show you the item, and then I'm going to show you some cards that I made with them. And Susan has seen some of these because she's on my team and saw some Saturday at our team meeting, but I have more. Okay, hello, Jody. All right, let me pull this over here. I think this spacing will be decent and drop you down a smidgy. Okay, so the items are called the Fitting Florets collection, and for the first time ever, I believe, the dies and the stamp set actually are going by the same name. That might not seem like a big deal to you, and if not, you haven't been with Stampin' Up! Long enough because it's really, really confusing if they're not called the same thing. But starting now, they will be called the same thing, so that's fantastic news. So these are the dies that go with it. And there is a video that hopefully I can link for you guys to tell you a little bit about how they came up with the ideas for the products in the collection and just some different uses for it. I'll fill you in what I know, but the video is pretty good. So these are the dies. This is the stamp set called Framed Florets. The dies are called Framed Floret Dies. And the stamp set is called, Framed Florets. So finally they are matching, which is great news. So there's a few different greetings in here. Some are larger and some are smaller, which is really nice. I think that these two are kind of my favorite, so lucky to call you friend. And just a little reminder that you are loved. Who doesn't need that, right? So these are the different images. And then the dies, these are the dies here. So you can see that some of the dies cut out some of the images, like so. Anything that's a big cutout cuts out the images that are on here. So every flower thing on here can be cut out with a die. But in addition to that, you get a couple extra leaves and this thingy. I guess that's a leaf, along with some ovals. So let me show you what they look like and what they do. So these are the extra leaves that I told you about. So they go in the same direction, no, opposite directions. So that's handy. And then this was that thingy that I told you about right there. This is what that looks like. And then here are all of the images that come with it and their cutout look. Now, here are probably the biggest selling part of the whole thing, which are the ovals. So when you cut this out, you use this large die here, and when you cut it out, you get an inside and an outside. So I cut it out twice to give you this look, but it cuts out the inside at the same time it's cutting out this detailed outside, which is so pretty and so handy. And then this guy on this side is this, this has got a couple ovals. So this oval here cuts out these two images. Again, cuts out the outside and the inside. So I cut this twice. That's why there's two different colors there. So you get two different ovals when you cut out. And then the outside is this die here, which has all these little hearts. And it cuts out all the hearts, but it actually does not cut the oval. It just makes the oval, it just makes an oval of hearts. I hope that makes sense. It's just an oval of hearts. It doesn't actually cut it out. But these two can layer nicely together and fit inside each other and work together in that way. And then you get a bunch of hearts. So what I'm going to show you tonight, what I'm focusing on, is actually some Christmas cards, but you can see with the heart images there that you certainly could do, well, hearts could be for anything. We think of them for Valentine's Day, but certainly they could be for anything. So so there's going to be a lot of use for this set of dies and stamp set. But I told you that there were a couple of things. So the Framed Florets dies and the Framed Florets stamp set are both going to be in the upcoming catalog. So those will be available moving forward, starting in November. But also in November, for a limited time and only as supplies last, you're going to be able to purchase a couple of other things if you so choose. And one of them is called Framed and Festive. So these images here, they're all Christmas greetings, all go kind of match with the ovals. So this is what I'm focusing on tonight. So I'm going to show you a lot of different samples with this, but they're really fun fonts. I really like them. They had me at this. I knew for sure once I saw Fa La La, I was sold. I was going to buy the whole thing. I don't know what your trigger point is, but for me, something cute like Fa La La is enough to say I'll buy the whole bundle. Okay. Also, during the month, or as soon as starting on November 1st, customers can order, but currently demonstrators can also order these embellishments. So these are called Gold Adhesive Backed Swirls. And I think you can see they're not very thick, which is nice because they're going to be able to be mailed very inexpensively. And I have not yet tried it, but apparently you can color on these as well. So I've only used them in gold, but apparently you can color them as well. I'm assuming with blends. That's what I will try first. Okay, and the paper. Okay. I love this paper. Let me see what it's called. This paper is called, Fitting Florets Designer Series paper. How about that? Exactly what you'd expect it to be called. Okay, so this is kind of the bigger, brighter, bolder size. I love this paper. What they've done is they've brought in a lot of colors that are not necessarily festive traditional, but they kind of work with this. So I'm going to show you some samples here. This paper here, this was just like the Fa La La. I love this paper. I would make this wallpaper if it was available. This image here also has some of these cut out. I believe it's this image right here. Can cut out with one of the dies. Let me see if I can grab the die and figure out. I'm pretty sure it's this one here. Yeah. So you can see that there, how that would cut out the die. So you can cut the die right out of the Designer Series paper as well. And this beautiful, I love these blues and greens together. I think they're stunning. And with the berries, they do have, well, they're not traditional Christmassy things. They do kind of have that holiday look. And then this one here with a bunch of flowers. So then the opposite side, much more subtle, as is typical of the back side of Stampin' Up stuff. So these make more kind of neutral background stuff. This paper is only available as supplies last. So it's for a limited time and only as supplies last. This will not be in the new catalog. So if there are any of those things that you feel like you need to get your hands on, and trust me you do, you're going to need to do it sooner rather than later because it definitely is going to sell out. I'm positive of that. Okay, so I told you I concentrated today on the Framed and Festive set because I was kind of messing around with a bunch of Christmas cards, and I wanted to show you what I came up with. So let me start with the stamping first. So the image that I have chosen to stamp are these, whoops, dimensional backs. They're everywhere. This leaf image, I thought it kind of has a kind of a holly-like look to it. So let me zoom you in here. While it's kind of like leaves, I think you can definitely make it kind of holly-like. So let me stamp these here and show you how I'm going to color these in. So I'm stamping these with Evening Evergreen, and then I'm going to pull in a blender pen. Now blender pens, I hope you've seen before, but you may, I don't know if you have, or you may not have used them in quite a while. They can be used in a number of different ways. You certainly can use them with watercolor pencils. You can use them with ink from the ink pad itself. You can kind of squish the cover of the ink pad and then pull up some of that color here and then color in that way. But what I'm doing tonight is probably the easiest way to use this, and that is to stamp an image with a colored ink pad, as opposed to like a this doesn't work with StazOn, because StazOn would dry and the color won't blend. That's the kind of the point of the StazOn. But with this here, I'm just using my blender pen to kind of pull my color around the leaf, and I stamped it, as I said, in Evening Evergreen. But when you pull the color out, it's very similar to Soft Succulent. So it really matches that quite nicely. It's so easy to do, so easy to color in. Boom, done. So all of that coloring was that quick. Okay, and then to get rid of the I'm sorry, I didn't mention this. These come 3 in a package. They're exactly the same. Both tips are the same. There's no difference in either side. You should store them on their side so that the magic, whatever it is that makes these work, in the middle is kind of, it's not leaking, but not going all down to one side. You just want to store these on their side. And eventually the tips get mushy, because people will always ask, why do you have 3 of the same thing in the package? It's because eventually the tips will get mushy, and then they won't be, they won't be good. So you'll need to move on to your next one. So 3 in a package for these. So worth it. So easy to color in. And that's the kind of image you get. All right. So I have previously cut these out using the dies. So here they are. Push this aside for the moment. And let me pull in my next thing to show you. And that is... Oops. Oh, hang on one second. I thought I had this ready. I don't. Okay, let me pull in some paper here. So I have some white paper. I want to show you when you cut this, how it comes out. Okay, so I'm using my Baby Boss. This is the small, the baby. Cut and emboss machine. I'm trying to now unzoom, and I'm having a very difficult time doing that. So let's just raise you up. That'll work. Okay. So I'm using this die here. This one here that has some detail on the edge. And I'm going to put this on just a piece of my basic white cardstock and run this through my Baby Boss. Whoops. I was a little too close to the edge, so let me move that over there a smidge. The Baby Boss it's a little bit funny. You have to put the plates a little bit askew as you put them through. You want them a little bit, not completely on top of each other, and that's how it feeds best through the machine. So if you have one and you're ever having trouble with it, that is likely the problem. So just put your plates a little bit askew, and that should work fine. Okay, so I wanted to show you that, as you can see here, now you have 2 cutouts. So you have the middle of the oval and then the detailed outermost part of the oval. All right, so every time you cut that out, you are going to get 2 ovals. So now let me bring you back down here. Whoa. There we go. That was a little too close. Okay, so I wanted to make, I was looking for two different colors because I wanted to have a center and then a detail around the outside. But in order to do that, I needed to run the machine through. I needed to run the die through twice. Once with the Evening Evergreen and once with the basic white. So now I have 2 whites and 2 greens to work with. All right, so let me take my first combination. So I'm going to take my white and green combination. And I'm going to use some words from the stamp set. And I'm choosing to use these words. May your season be filled with peace and joy. And I'm going to do this with Real Red. Can you see this is the really old ink pad? I've never even changed my... Stampin' Up! Came up with a new design of stamp pads a number of years ago, and I've never actually changed mine because it's still working. Okay, so I'm going to put this just north of the center point because I want to put those little leaves, those little, what I'm going to call holly leaves, towards the bottom. Okay, so I just put that a little bit more towards the top. Let me close that before it causes trouble. Okay, and then I want to put this around the outside. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to the outside because obviously these were cut from the same piece. So they are, they will fit together, but there's no overlap at all, right? Because they were cut at the same time. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting these two together here. Then I'm going to get my dimensionals and I'm going to put those right along the edges here. And I'm not going to be cheap with them because I really want them to hold this together. Whoops. So, and besides, dimensionals are cheap. I think they cost, I don't know, I should figure it out, but somewhere around a cent. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Less than a dime. That costs you less than a dime to get all that action. Okay. Now, okay, let me take a step back. I do this all the time. I start telling you something, then I take a step back. Stampin' Up, if you watch the video that I'm hopefully going to be able to link to, you'll see that Stampin' Up said that their goal was to create a product or a line of products, a collection that would go with things that you already own as well. And so I have a number of different things that I've pulled out tonight that I already owned, and I'm going to show you how they match with the stamp set. So the first thing I'm going to start with is this brick and mortar embossing, 3D embossing folder. You can see it says blue plate only. This is so old that I used it on my old Big Shot, and we now carry a stamp and emboss machine a cut and emboss machine as opposed to the Big Shot. So that's how old this embossing folder is. So it's been around for quite a while. So that's the first thing that I used that I already owned. So I previously ran that through, and you can see the detail on that. It's a really nice folder. If you don't own it, you need it. Okay, so let me put that right there, and I'm going to take off all of my dimensional backs, my 8 dimensional backs, and okay, I think I got them all, and I'm going to place this hopefully in the middle. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to mount this whole thing on top of an Evening Evergreen card. Because I used an embossing folder, and particularly because it's a 3D one, you can see all of that detail there. It's much easier to use liquid glue on the back of this. For me, anyway, I feel like it sticks better because it kind of gets in all the nooks and crannies, and I feel like it holds a little bit better that way with the liquid glue as opposed to using Stampin' Seal or Stampin' Seal Plus. Okay, so there we go. Let's pull in the cutout images of what I am calling holly, because I really think it does look like holly. I think it does. You might disagree. But it's my card, so. And I do think it looks like it. Okay, so I'm going to use a couple of dimensionals on the back of this. I'll use the big dimensionals. I'm really picky about when I use my baby dimensionals. I feel like they should only be used if necessary. And I was stamping with some friends the other day who said that they always cut their dimensionals in half to get more bang for their buck. And while I have done that, if I've had to, I don't do that on a regular basis. Let me show you a trick you can do. I don't tend to do this a lot, but it's a trick you can do. And if you do have any kind of issues with your arthritis or something like that, this is kind of a nice thing. So I'm using my eye poker outer tool, which is part of the Pick-a-Tool tool. And I'm just going to pick off the paper that's on there. This one was already off. And you can lift it up that way. I am lazy, and I also, knock wood, don't have arthritis, so I just peel them off and chuck them on my floor. But this is a much neater way, because you can see they are all contained right there. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to put on, I'm going to put kind of over here. And then the next one, I'm going to kind of put over here, almost as if they were like sprigs on a wreath. Kind of like that. And then I am going to add, let's see, I'll do my ribbon first. So for this particular one, I've picked something that I had in my collection. So I'm using some linen thread. And I'm just going to make a double bow. Probably should have done that before I came on camera. You should never make a bow on camera. It's the diciest time in a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator's life. Oh, look at that. Not too dicey tonight. Okay, let me just make it more reasonable size. So there's my linen bow. And then I'm just going to trim it. I like to trim it not all at the same time because I like them to be different lengths. But if you like them the same length, and just trim them all at the same time. Okay, I'm going to use a glue dot. Unusual for me. I don't use a lot of glue dots. I like to use green glue usually, but I am going to use a glue dot here. So with the glue dot, I'm just going to push the bow right into the glue dot and stick it. What I'm covering up, can you see that? I know, some of you already saw that and said, that's a mess. That's why I'm covering it up. So I'm going to put my bow right on top, right there. Now, I am going to pull out my new favorite embellishment, and that is this little baby. It's called Pearlized Enamel Effects Basics Real Red. Now, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this does not look real red. Let me pull in my Real Red ink pad, and then my Real Red Pearlized Enamel Effects Basics. It doesn't look red, right? It looks pink. But the good news is it's going to dry red. So let me scooch it down there. Let me show you how to use it. By the way, you get 3 of these in a package. These are in the mini catalog currently. And I think they're somewhere around $10 for the 3 of them. So there's black, white, and real red. So let me show you what you do with this. You just you just squish on the little bottle. There is a little bit of, I don't want to say a learning curve, but you could take a little bit of time to figure out so that all your dots end up being the same size. But you'll see quickly that you get good at it. And they all kind of start with this pokey top, like frosting. Okay, so picture like frosting. I don't know if you can see that detail. But eventually, they all come down very flat. Now, these are very wet right now, and they do take a little while to dry. I would say a minimum of probably an hour. I'm not sure exactly how long they take, but I can tell you for certain that I made this card this afternoon, and they are completely hard at this point. So they have, within a couple hours anyway, they certainly are hard. I would say about an hour. So if you're doing these, that should be the last thing you do, and then you're going to put it aside, and then when you get up in the morning, you're going to be amazed at what looks like holly with your pearlized dots. Okay, so let me put that one aside. Oh, and can you see the difference in the color? I don't, it doesn't, it's not really apparent on camera, but this one right here is the one I just did, and it's much pinker than this. It definitely dries real red. So don't be scared if you get that and you say, that's not real red. Okay, now remember when I cut my, the center, let me pull this over there. Remember when I cut this, I got two parts, right? I also got that part. So I am trying to maximize for you how you could actually utilize this, because while I do have a container of extra parts, I'll pull that over for a second. I do recommend starting a little collection if you do get these dies, because you will end up with a lot of extra parts. So start a little collection, and it will be there when you need it, right? But in order to utilize this, I figured it's best to maximize what you're doing with it. So I am now going to use the opposite of what I had on my card, right? So I had white on the center and then the green detailed oval on the outside. So for this one, I'm doing a white detailed oval on the outside and green in the center. All right, so let me pull in. I'm going to use some different words on this one. Oh, I forgot to mention that, what is this set called? Framed and Festive. So this one here, that's all these Christmas words. This one is actually a cling stamp. And the Framed Florets, this is the one that will be in the upcoming catalog. That one is actually photopolymer. So it's a combination. Not sure why, but it is a combination. So this one here is a cling stamp. And that's what I'm going to use on the green here. So let me pull in my white ink. So I'm using a white craft ink. That is entirely too close. Let me zoom you out there. Okay, now I am going to emboss this. And I wanted to show you. I don't have the newest things that Stampin' Up has for this toolkit. But this is what I use when I emboss. You, however, if you don't have, these were in the catalog about 1,000 years ago, or at least 15. And I've had these for probably that long. But they no longer were carried in the catalog for quite a while, but now they're back. So they can be found on page 49 of your catalog, and this is called the Embossing Editions Toolkit. It sells for $27. There's the plastic tray, and I don't know if you can tell, but this unscrews to keep all the embossing powder in. In the olden days, it just, there was almost like a little cork that went in there that has long been lost. So I have no idea where that is. This is the embossing buddy. And this is my embossing buddy, which I've had around forever. There's a brush to kind of brush off when embossing powder goes where it shouldn't. And then this great little tool I am envious of because I don't yet own it. But it is a tweezers, but they're crafting tweezers. So you have to squeeze them to open them, and then they close tight. So the nice thing about that is it's really going to hold whatever you're holding very easily. You're not squeezing whatever you're holding for that long. So if you are interested in that, it's on page 49 of the catalog, and it sells for $27. Okay. I don't know. I would assume it would be in the new catalog, but honestly, I don't know. Okay, so let me just show you real quick what you would do with your embossing buddy. Your embossing buddy is a little pillow filled with, I don't know, magic, something anti-static powder. So you're just going to tap this on, oh good, Maureen's using it as we speak, and she says it's fabulous, terrific. So you can see a little bit of powder on there. Just going to blow it off. Don't worry about that. That just is going to keep the embossing powder from kind of getting all over the place. Now I'll pull in my white ink pad. You could do this with Versamark because I am using white. I'm going to use some white embossing powder, but I like white on white. I feel like it gives it the clearest image. Okay, and again, you could just dry it like this. Okay, so that is the stamped image. You could dry it like that, but I am going to emboss it. So I'll bring over my tray, my white embossing powder. Stampin' Up! Has a number of different, They have 2 different packages of embossing powder. My embossing powder is old. I've had it a long time. It lasts a long time. So it's a good investment. Okay, so here it is. And through the magic of television, here it is completely embossed. I'm not going to emboss it for you while on camera because I got too much to show you. But here it is embossed. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time. I'm going to flip the image over. Well, let me show you how pretty it is before I do that. Can you see how? I don't know if you can see, but it definitely has, it's got a raised image to it, so it definitely is pretty. So when you're doing this part, make sure there's definitely an upside and a downside. Make sure that you're doing it in the correct way so that your upside is up and your downside is down. I'm going to grab my dimensionals again. The bigger dimensionals work better for this. And I'm going to load this up with dimensionals. And this time, instead of using an embossing folder, I'm going to use some of that beautiful paper that is available for a limited time. So that's the front. And this is the paper that I'm going to use. Isn't that stunning? It's so pretty. Now, I haven't done this, but it would be possible that you could color in these berries in red if you wanted to use your blends. Or actually, there's a lot of different ways you could color it in. I would probably use blends, but you could use markers. You could use watercolor pencils. There's a lot of different ways you could color it in. But I actually like it white. I think it's got a really kind of nice clean look to it, so I'm going to leave it as it is. This is the back side of it. Okay, so you would pull all of these off like so, and through the magic of television, here's my completed card. So I did the same thing. I've got the exact same stamp that I used the last time. I used it the same way. Oh, Wink of Stella, Sandy's saying. You could use Wink of Stella on these. So Wink of Stella, if you're not familiar, is a magic like markery type thing that, but not a magic marker, that would add some glimmer to these. Just the right amount of glimmer. Wink of Stella is awesome. So if that's not on your list, you probably want to add it. So what I did on this one is that I used some different embellishments because, again, Stampin' Up! Said they were making this to go with a lot of things you already own. So what I used on this were the Iridescent Pearls Basic Jewels, which look like this. They do have a little bit more shimmer than our basic pearls, and you can kind of see them. Actually, I take that back. These are regular pearls. Pretend I never said that. I use those on a different one, but these are basic pearls, so they don't have quite as much shimmer on them. And then the ribbon that I used is this ribbon here. That comes in 5 different colors of the 21 to 23 in colors. So this is the Evening Evergreen. So that is that card there. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Okay, next card. Let me show you a couple more things that I did. So this card here, very similar to the other white card that I showed you. I'll bring in both so that you'll be able to see the difference. This one here, can you see the embossing folder? The embossing folder I use for this one is called Pine Planks, I believe. Maybe Timber. Actually, I'm not sure what it's called. Once again, I should have been prepared. But it's the wood grain embossing folder. It's a 3D embossing folder, so it's got a really nice pattern to it. And I did I did score it as well, so it kind of looks like planks, kind of like shiplap. In the past, Stampin' Up! Carried one that looked like that, but now you can get the same look with this one here by just embossing it again. And for this one, I pulled in this very versatile crinkle seam bind ribbon, and made my bow with that. And I used a different embellishment that I had on hand, and these are the red rhinestone basic jewels. So it's a little bit more shimmery than this one here, which was with the enamel dots. Okay, similar but different. Okay, next, I used a different embossing folder. So for this one, I pulled in my, all right, literally have no idea what you call this. It is a musical note embossing thing. Oh, Susan is asking, did I score after embossing? Yes, I did, Susan. I ran it through the embossing folder. So it just looked like wood planks. I mean, it just looked like wood. And then I just put it through my trimmer at 1-inch marks to get that kind of look. Okay, so back to this that I don't remember the name of. It's something about music or notes. Musical notes, something like that. Again, it's a 3D. It's a very, very sturdy embossing folder. I believe I've been told before that this is, if you actually could read music, I believe it is Joy to the World, but I am not positive. So take a good look. If you can read music, tell me what you think it is, because I have no idea. I don't even know if I'm holding it in the right direction. I assume I am. Okay, so what I did with this one was that I used a different image from the stamp set. I used this image right here, and I was pretending that that was a poinsettia on either end, and that this was just a white flower in between. So I used the same method with the outside greenery. Oh, okay. Hang on one second. I'm getting notes. This is called Merry Melody, if you're looking for this in the catalog. And this embossing folder that I called wood planks is actually called timber. So go figure. But it looks like wood. You'll know. Thanks, Maureen. Thanks for the update. Okay, so this here, I used the same method with the blender pen to pull in the color, but then I used my blends, my Real Red blends, to color in what I'm calling a poinsettia, and then I used Wink of Stella, which you cannot appreciate. I'm sure you cannot see, or I'm not seeing the sparkle anyway, but I did use Wink of Stella on my 2 white flowers, so that's got a little bit of shimmer to it. You'll have to trust me, in real life it does. Now these are the iridescent pearls that I previously lied to you about. They kind of look gray on my, what I'm looking at kind of looks gray. They're not gray at all. They do have an iridescent look to them. So that's another embellishment that you could use. Okay, and then finally, this is my last card to show you tonight, and maybe my favorite. I'll show you why. Okay, so I did 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly. I'm using Merry Melody for my background. Again, I'm hoping it's in the right direction. I'm not positive. And I used the same, what I'm calling holly leaves. For this one, I didn't put any berries on it. And the reason I didn't was because I really wanted to use the gold. So I'm using the gold, this kind of gold's very fine. It's very, it's not elasticy at all. It's strong and not elasticy. It comes in a package with silver as well. So you get silver and gold together. But I really wanted to use the embellishments that I got in the collection, which are gold. So I left this gold, so just a little bit of gold in there, and then I added them up there. But here's my favorite part of the whole card. So this is 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly, and then on the inside, I put fa la 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 la, which I believe I counted many times. There are 8 la's in that. So that's what I put on the inside. So I kind of had to sort of jerry-rig how I did that, because in the Framed Festive set, It's just fa la la. So if you want the whole verse, you gotta figure it out. But it made me happy. I thought it was funny, and so that's what I did. So if you get a Christmas card from me and it's got all those words, you know it took extra effort from me, but you were worth it. Okay, so let me just pull in one last time. I'm going to pull in all the cards, except for the one that's drying, but I've got a dried sample, so that's fine. Those two are pretty similar. And here. So what I wanted to let you know, like I said before, when you cut this image, when you cut that die, you're going to get two parts to it. So what I did was that I cut a bunch of white and I cut a bunch of evening evergreen to get these. This paper here, it comes 12 by 12. So if you wanted to make this card here, you could get 12 cards from one pack of paper. You'd be able to get 6 card fronts from the 2 pieces of designer series paper. So you could get 12 cards from that, and if you're cutting 12 of those, you're getting 12 of these, so you can certainly do something with whatever ribbons you have and whatever embellishments you would want to add. But basically, if you're cutting out 12 of each color, then you're going to end up with 24 cards, which is an excellent start, or maybe finish to many of your Christmas card wish lists. Oh, I have 2 more cards to show you, sorry. These are a very different design, and I didn't go over any of this tonight, nor will I really, but this was another design, and this is using the white dots from the pearlized dots. You know, I showed you the real red. These use the white and the red. And then that little Merry Christmas is from that right there. And then the other one I did was Noel in the background. So I just did kind of a simpler version of the card, but with kind of non-traditional, softer looking Christmas colors. Okay, so let me tell you about these products. So they are available, as I mentioned, right now, but the Fitting Florets and the dies will be in the new catalog. Everything else, the paper, the Framed and Festive stamp set, and the gold embellishments will only be as supplies last. I suspect they will both sell out in the month of November. Now that's a guess. I don't have any intel on that. Whoops. Almost fell off my chair. I don't have any intel on that for sure, but I think they're going to be really popular. And so if those are things that you are interested in, I would absolutely get that order in as soon as possible. Let me just do this so that we're looking at a reasonable height. Okay. If you wanted the whole collection, it's $97.50. The bundle, so just the dies and the framed floret set, is $54. But you can get everything all together with just one number, and that number is 163129. You can get everything with just the one number, and I would put that in, like I said, as soon as possible. Now, I said demonstrators are able to order that now. Customers can order it starting on November 1st. But if you are interested in becoming a demonstrator, becoming a Stampin' Up! Team member, they have another special going on right now. So for $99, you get $155 worth of products, anything you want in the catalog. So normally it's $125. So you're getting an extra $30 of anything you want in the catalog. And you're able to add the new product because now you're a demonstrator, right? So now you can take advantage of that bonus. So if you are interested in signing up, please go to my website or to the demonstrator who brought you here. Go to their website and you can sign up, and you can absolutely add it's called the Fitting Florets collection. You can add that to your starter list. And that's only $97.50, so you'd still have like another $58 of stuff you could get, right? Fantastic. You could also get the toolkit for the embossing stuff if you don't have that, and you'd still have some extra money, I think. Yeah, you would. Trying to do math quick. In any case, it's a really good deal. It's a great time if you are interested to think about doing that, because it's a really good product and it's going to take you through every season. I spent a lot of time talking about Christmas because that's what's on my mind right now, but certainly there's a lot of flowers in there. It could take you into spring. It's got that awesome heart oval thing that's going to be handy for Valentine's Day or just love in general. So you don't want to miss out on that. Okay, that is it. I will see you next Tuesday. I will be here on Tuesday. If there's anything that you saw in this video that you need, please go to my website, bettyboop.stampinup.net, to purchase that, or go to the demonstrator who brought you here. Go to their website so that you can get those things. And if you do have any questions, just leave them below or let me know and I'd be happy to answer them. All right, thanks for tuning in. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Vicki. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye, guys.